Madam Chair, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me warmly welcome Head of Delegation of the Republic of Cuba and the honorable delegation members. I want to underline deep respect to Mrs. Yamila González Ferrer for her important contribution for the development of women's rights in the world. Your Excellencies, the Republic of Cuba fought during the 60 years for the independence and sovereignty. It's not possible to make any serious analysis of the Cuba reality, in particular review of human rights issues in the country, without addressing the negative impact of the economic, commercial and financial blockade, which affects in a transversal manner of entire economic and social life of the country, and constitutes a massive, flagrant and systematic violation of human rights of the entire Cuban population, first and foremost their right to life. The blockade directly harms Cuban families and the population in general on a daily basis in practically all spheres of society and damages their rights to food, health, transportation, access to the internet and different things. Also, the blockade has been in the place more than 60 years. I have no such kind of country experience in any way, just Cuba. Preparation of family code, which we had especially last in 2022, and including especially norms, including the terminology of CEDAW Convention, which make many things in this work. Taking out the special circumstances about making age out of the down from 18 age for the marriage age. It was one of the best lines how it changed in the legislation, including new terminology and going on this line. But at the same time, there are several problems which need to be done, especially creating sex-segregated data, gender sex-segregated data on the access to the lands, for example, properties, men and women representation in accessibility for the property. For example, what's the percent of women which own the property and land in your country? How you can respond for this question, for example. Equality in marriage and family relations coming from the property rights, especially, but at the same time with the questions equality before the law, when we say rule of law. That's why when we say about the family relations and including the early marriage questions, which are very important. Unfortunately, you change the legislation, but implementation is not so good. But what about the child marriage, with including especially people till 18 years old, and afterwards they haven't they registered the special norms. For example, you have the families which have the relations with 16, 17, unfortunately with 15 years girls, and they're living as a families. But afterwards they're making the registration. How you plan to prevent such kind of bad and negative aspects and formulatives, especially. I'm not saying that commonly, but you have such kind of problems. It may be individually, maybe not so big statistic, but you have. Another point is especially coming about the punishment for the forced child marriages, which are very important. You create base in constitution, you create base in your family code, you made so many changes in your legislation during the last 7 years, but what about the criminal cases investigated during the last 4 years? About the forcing for child marriages? What the statistic data on the kind, how you are implementing this form and norms which are adopted in 2022? Inheritance rights, difference between women and men in the regions, in the cities. We got your answers in the list of issues about inheritance equality. In your legislation, we know about this. It's going in the right way. But what about implementation this side? You can adopt very good conventional rights. You can adopt many legislations, especially in the road to the communism, to the socialism, especially how it must be done. But how you are resolving such kind of questions. And the main point for me is equality before the law, equality access to the property rights, and especially comparable data of women percentage in property. There are not any gender disaggregated statistic data on property and land accessibilities. If you have, maybe we are wrong, just please clarification. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Thank you very much, Mr.